Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. So, I am just kind of going to talk about the Apocalypse update as a whole, and, oh god, frames. I don't know why that was framey. I closed a lot of things already. So, first things first. So, having the new challenges is great. I actually enjoy it. But what I want to say right now is that while this update is definitely better than, let's say, the previous updates in some ways, I will say there were some changes that definitely did not help for the better, like they didn't do Obake and Goryo. At least not yet. And then the Jin has another issue that I don't know if it applies yet, but I kind of, on the Phas Discord, talked about it, just in case they didn't. So, let's start by talking about the good of the update. So the custom difficulty and uh, one of the maps, I will say, is great. Like, so let's start with the custom difficulty. It has a lot to it, like in the rules. So let's just go ahead and do this. Is it? There we go. I haven't recorded this in a while, but basically having custom difficulty options, kind of nice. Did my settings get reset? That's weird. I know there was a recent update, so yeah, it did reset my settings. Okay. Unless, yeah, it reset all of my settings somehow. I don't know why. Okay. So you can obviously customize a lot, but there's some things that just are not here that I wish were. And same, especially with the ghost, another thing that people were hoping for that isn't in here is, you notice the ghost cannot be selected. That is kind of a downside to the custom difficulty not having everything everyone wanted. But I'm not going to blame the developers since they were testing all of these. So, yeah. So, basically, looking at... Oh, I just thought about something, but... it won't matter. So, I can add it to my post later. Um, so, basically, obviously, the custom difficulty, great on concept, but the execution didn't work out as well. And I know I'm having a few issues right now, but it's basically not a bad thing. I'm going to have to see why my settings didn't get properly set up, but did my loadouts get messed up as well? No? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, they didn't get messed up. So that's good. So my loadouts are fine, but difficulties got changed. Um, Now, it allows for more replayability in challenges, and allows some challenges to be done in their truest form, like no evidence. But the lack of certain settings definitely didn't help everything. And now, the map that everyone probably thinks I'm going to talk about, and they're correct about, is Sunny Meadows. Now, having a small and large variation is nice. because this is random on Sunny Meadows Restricted, but 69 rooms for base Sunny Meadows is kind of funny. But I just realized there are only a few maps that have 3 floors, but that's interesting that it counts as 3. I thought there were less that were counted as 3, but I guess not. Um, so yeah, Sunny Meadows, great map. It has a lot of ambience that no other map has, and that really does add to the game. Now, I didn't mention the vote system, but that's actually a very nice thing. As long as everyone can agree on something to some degree. Now, obviously the host can still just click the map they want and you can play like that. But now there's a little bit of democracy and it randomly picks if there's a tie. But yeah. Now, another thing is that honestly, having the equipment loadouts, great. They did talk about this. We're going to get more with later whenever we get some more stuff. But, and the new lobby is nice and all. I just would prefer if we had just, okay. I think I caused Phasmophobia to crash, so. I didn't know that. Oh, no, I didn't. There we go.
Welcome back. I've prepared some jobs for you.
It's lagging. And yes, I did get the Halloween trophy. But obviously, trophies. Rewarding people for doing certain things. That's really nice. The new thing for Jenga. That's really nice as well. And my game is lagging. I don't know why. But I still have my 666 and everything. So yeah. And having all of this and being able to do Jenga is nice. But yeah. So, now let's get into the actual bad. The lack of real big changes, besides custom difficulty, really doesn't help. So, you'll notice, like, there's no new ghost types. That's fine. Like, that part's actually fine, I feel. Unlike most cases where I would say that's actually a negative, I think it's a positive that we don't complicate the game more with a new ghost type when the custom difficulty is introduced. But I will say that there is a problem still with a lack of changing the game up since exposition. And that really is it. I'm going to say that right now. Is there hasn't been any major changes since exposition. Like, the ability to hide getting changed in exposition was what really made a lot of things better. Because originally you couldn't hide behind objects just to get away from the ghost, but now you could. And obviously the ghost speeding up over time to stop looping, which it didn't truly fully stop it because I haven't really shown how you properly loop in the current update myself. And I've done it to a Raiju, and I thought it wasn't possible when I did it at first, but now I know for certain that it is. It's just kind of unfortunate, I should say. But a lack of other things like, let's say, obviously not the player versus the ghost thing. I'm not going to bring that up as much like outside of this moment because I think that is not something Phas should be doing. As much as some people might want it, I think another game would fit that better. But then actually playing Phas as Phas, Phas is solid on just the gameplay it's done alone. The problem is that it's just a lack of being able to change it up and maybe allowing you to change the difficulty in some capacity. Like, let's talk about custom difficulty stuff here where you could change, can the ghost speed up? Or with number of hiding places, maybe tweaking what types of hiding places. I didn't think about that initially. But basically allow for old Phas style along with new Phas style on top of that, and obviously being able to eliminate, to get rid of ghost types that you absolutely despise for one reason or another. And we've already got some stuff for like old style Phas where you can't sprint, but that's the thing, is not being able to sprint isn't terrible if you design more custom stuff for it. Basically making the custom difficulty a little bit wider on its options would be great. I'm not saying to try to make the game impossible, but because difficulty definitely was thrown in, and Phas definitely wasn't the best game in terms of difficulty before. I think with custom difficulty, it definitely hits the perfect balance. We just need a little bit more options, basically, to spice up the gameplay. Because we haven't had a real big change since Exposition or even Cursed Possessions. Like, those two I'd consider personally my favorites. But the actual update for custom difficulty wasn't a terrible update. I would say it was a step in a direction that was good for the future updates. It's just a lack of being able to experience exactly everything that people would want in custom difficulty. That kind of is the problem. Is custom difficulty felt like it could have been more. And yeah, it didn't deliver what everyone wanted. I think it delivered enough for certain people, and if anyone says, oh, 24 times difficulty is too easy, you're crazy. I think that having that there and rewarding players with a trophy for doing it one time and then them never having to do it again, I'm fine with that. It's a challenge. You can do it at any time, and people are okay with it. But I personally wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more customization in custom difficulty and a little bit more ghosts might be okay. 24 is a lot already, but you could add more ghosts. You just have to. Another problem that I'm going to bring up is it's been a problem for a while actually, which is the uniqueness of ghost types. Some ghost types actually feel less unique than others. Like, an ability just has a condition and then doesn't have much else different. And that's the problem, is, yeah, you can't really do much with sanity abilities without making other things. Like, let's talk about the most unique sanity draining ability, the U-Raid sanity drain ability, because it has a gameplay effect. You realize it on cue. But most other sanity draining abilities are basically passive. Like, that is. I just thought about that. I was like, there's not many sound cues for most of them, and the Jin one is really hard to notice because of the new breaker stuff, especially on larger maps. So it makes it harder to just go like, oh, that's a Jin. So my proposal is kind of spicing up the rates that speed ups happen with with that with some speed up abilities, like some of them be instant, like Rev Do Thay, where they are set speeds. Hantu is kind of fine. You could also make it a instead a like the temperature is where the speed is set, like how it is currently, is still okay for the Hantu. Like you can still do that, but I personally would like it if it was like not instantaneous, as weird as it is, but like a very quick ramp up into it. So like, or a very slow descent into a slower speed on rooms that are warmer, just to nerf it less and actually overall buff it. Um, but like other ghost types really need tweaking. Like the Jin, I think, is kind of weird because it's like, oh, it speeds up with line of sight, but then it really is kind of bad otherwise. Like the Jin needs a way of being differentiated from a Rev in that aspect because both have line of sight prerequisite, but one's faster than the other. So it's like I feel like it's horrible. So it's kind of like speed up and sanity drain abilities don't feel different enough on a standalone point for somebody who's been playing for a while. But other unique abilities like the Wraith thing with Salt, the Obake's fingerprint stuff, I think those are fine to differentiate the ghosts with. But obviously, we need more for the Obake because custom difficulty, you can have points where you have 0 fingerprints because of 0 evidence. So obviously, I've mentioned on the Phas Discord stuff, which you can go and look at. I mentioned a bunch of ways of changing ghost types. So, like, custom difficulty is good, it's just not perfect. And I think spicing up the ghost types is really what Phas needs to do right now before they add new ones. Like, flesh out the current ones a little bit more, but not overcomplicate them. Like, the Banshee does have a unique thing, but I think they need to do more to the Banshee before it's good. And a few other ghost types are like that. Demon might be the perfect one. Also, hunt modifier based stuff. That's probably the hardest to differentiate because it has a condition and then it happens on a chance or guaranteed. Those those are a little bit different and a bit harder to differentiate because yeah, the condition is what does it. Which was cool at first, but I feel like a lot of them start to feel samey after a while whenever you play a lot more. But yeah, we need more stuff that differentiates ghost types, basically, for the gameplay to feel fuller. And I'm assuming Horror 2.0 will fix some of this, and I'm assuming Progression Update will hopefully fix some of this, but I don't expect this to happen in one update. So yeah, Is there anything in particular that I think is bad about the custom difficulty update? Not really. It's just a lack of really pushing boundaries where they could have. That's really it. I don't think it was a bad update, but my friends were more disappointed than me. So, I don't, and for some people, it's gotten stale. So, I understand their viewpoint on that. And, yeah. So, I think that's everything. So, I hope you all understand my point, and I hope that this brings out stuff for the devs to kind of help improve the game from where it was, because this game is great. It's just it needs more to it on the exact content, because the aspect of being able to figure out every ghost by itself was a key thing back in the day that they kind of pushed a little bit more, and they've been trying to push it again. Alright, and one last thing is, before I go, is that uh, I definitely will say that as somebody with experience with the game, it definitely is still fun, but I just haven't been playing it as much because I've also had a small amount of burnout myself. I will say that. And I hope to reach like level 3k, 4k before the reset. But there's like one last thing, and I'm trying to think. What was it? Um, it was one thing. I am blanking on it right now somehow, and this is kind of awkward. But I'm not trying to say the game's bad. I will say that, because the game isn't bad. But I do want to get everything out here for you guys, and I'm just going to upload this unedited because why not? So, I still enjoy updates. I think they could be better, but Phas isn't a bad game. I know that there's thoughts of new cursed possessions. I don't have any offhand. I think we're having more might complicate the game, but I understand having cursed possessions kind of did do a lot for the game, but it also did have an hindrance in other areas. So there's that, and I kind of just want to get Phas on a path where the player count starts rising again. Because another thing is, that's what I was trying to think of, is if you go on Steam charts, you'll notice Phas has peaked twice, and it hasn't really come back to that peak since then. And I think it's because a lot of people are feeling the same as some of my friends, and I just wanted to make this video as well for that, because improving upon what we have currently is kind of what we need, rather than adding new stuff. Like making new interactions and all that, which, yes, I am aware of the plans of new equipment, new interactions, and all of that. And even more death rooms. But what it needs is more variety in gameplay. It's really to bring people back, I feel. And I think, well, the custom difficulty definitely did some of that. And that's good. I think we just need more. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.